Yeah, well, I mean, you're calling it by its name. It's fear. But I'm wondering if, right, because doomsdaying, right? You're calling it doomsdaying. That's a name for fear. Now, I wonder if you are directly in touch with a fear as fear. So I'll say a few things, and then I'll be curious to see if Catherine has something to add. But the fear is tricky because when we're in fear, we can be very far away and detached from it and still know that there's fear, but we're like 1,000 miles away from the actual fear. And so one way to work with that is to try to get closer and closer, and it'll be like progressive and slow, where over time and over more conflicts, and you're going to start to get more directly in touch with a sensation of fear. And so at first it's just crazy mind. So a lot of thinking and a lot of doomsdaying, a lot of thoughts around that. And then it's going to be over time known more as like an energy, a current that you're going to feel in the body. Because all of that thinking and the emotional turmoil is like, you know, when you have a pressure cooker, or if you're boiling, like you're cooking rice or whatever, and you put a lid on and the lid doesn't have a hole, it's going to start to lift. That's like what the stormy mind and emotions is doing, because there's fear. So it's a way to kind of decompress, is like crazy mind and emotional body. Because you're unable to kind of be with the intensity of the energy, the direct energy of the fear, the heat. But once you're able to be in touch with the heat, all of that dispelling of that energy becomes unnecessary. But if you're trying to stop the steam, it's just going to push. It's just going to pop the lid open, and you're fighting something that you can't win. And so the direction is to, this actually changes your whole nervous system. It's not something that you just like see overnight and then it happens. Your body and your brain and your whole nervous system needs to shift in how it's operating. So that's why it takes time. But the direction is the questioning, what is the actual sensation, and look for it in the body. And you'll notice your breathing is going to be tight or shallow, your chest is contracted. And so then what happens if I just slow down my breathing, bring it into the belly, pay attention to the sensations, pay less attention with trying to stop what the mind is doing. And that's going to get you more in touch with the energy, the heat of the fear. So that's one thing. And then there's a similar thing with pain, but I think the main thing that's coming to me for you now is the fear. And that's fear is like the ending of the relationship. Fear is always ending. Something, losing something ending. Which into the imagination, and sometimes very correctly, is the coming of pain. Something ends, what comes is pain. So ultimately is wanting to avoid pain. Do you have anything? Yeah. I'm curious if you're. I just want to invite Catherine to see if she has something for you as well. Are you open to that?
Yeah, I think I'm used to working in the way of like really going in and asking you a whole bunch of questions, but it wouldn't be appropriate in this situation. So I'm going a little bit on guesses and intuition, but it's something like, I think for you, I would start with observing the thoughts and even writing them down so that you can see, like, unless you already know the pattern, like what sorts of thoughts are you believing, as a sort of first step. And then the other thing would be like if it's something that can help you process, then it sounds like it's because he's not triggered at that time. But if he's triggered too, then it's probably going to be hard for him to help you. And that's what would happen with us. We'd both be triggered. If only one of us was triggered, we wouldn't fight. But if he's triggered too, then it's in a way, it's true that you do need to process it on your own. Right? And it's like, then it's kind of a question of like, is it, like Nico's saying, like a fear of loss of the relationship or a fear of loss of abandonment or something like that. And like, I think for me that there was a deeper, like a further fear, which was the fear of losing the relationship and it would be all my fault, you know? And then I was also in a shame, which I think is really difficult one. So like, just like step by step, you know, like work on the thoughts, and then you'll be able to like increase your ability to like stay with a certain amount of the sensation. And then you'll see a deeper pass of like, what's the like quality, or what am I believing is true? What am I terrified of, kind of thing. And then, yeah, I think just observe it. That's my main thing. I don't know. But it is okay if you have to process it alone to some extent. But that might also be kind of overlapping with some deep fear of like, I'm gonna be alone. I have to be alone. It's like you were alone in ways when you were a child that you shouldn't have been. But it would have been nice if you'd had an adult to help you process that. And that was sort of wrong in a sense, right? It was a wrong belief at that time. So there's a residual belief that feels wrong for you, but like it is kind of true now that you need to process, but not always alone. Like you can process with a therapist or something, and then it's just that when he can't, and it's like, yeah.
I have one more thing. So, what you are is aware right now. You're hearing me. You experience sensations. You see. You hear. You have thoughts. You're aware of thoughts, emotions. That which knows all of this is what you are. That which is that subjectivity, that sense of subjectivity, is what you are. And that is always unharmed by what is experienced. And so there could be a tremendous amount of fear or stories of torment, of pain, but the knowing of it is always unharmed. That which knows the pain, that which knows the torment. Before you were in torment, you're aware. During torment, you're aware. After torment, you're aware. That which goes unchanged and unaffected, that which is the same now that it was when you were a child, that knowing is also what knows Jenna. And that is completely unharmed and is completely okay with what's happening. And it takes time for what I'm describing and saying kind of as a truth, it takes time for that to become your own understanding. to understand that that's what you are and that is completely safe. And so I'm naming it, but it's something that I'm offering for you to take as a possibility of something being true now, which is what you are is completely okay. And it's completely unharmed by the depth of torment that might come, that have come, that might come. The torment, the pain, the fear, the heartbreak, the agonizing contraction. That which knows it, you are less the contraction, more the knowing of it. You are less the pain, more the knowing of it. It's what's hearing now, what's seeing now, what's having a little bit of a smile now. Yeah, and don't take my word for it. Take it as a what if, and then explore it yourself. I often say, just give it the benefit of the doubt that it's how I'm saying, but don't buy into it. Don't turn it into a belief, because that won't be useful. So it's just like 51% of you open to it. And you're describing a back and forth bouncing. We contract, we expand, we contract, we expand. So we resist, we deny, then we see, we recognize, and then we resist, we deny. But over time, if we keep looking and we persevere and we are committed to seeing truth and knowing reality, that kind of, we resist 199%, we open up to like 10% resistance, 99 resistance, 99%. But over time, when we cross a threshold, we're at 51% accepting, 49% resisting. And that's where things start to really shift. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I think one thing is seeing it as an idea, and another is looking for that in your experience. So, what does it feel more to you, that you are your hand, or that which is aware of your hand? In your experience, forget about what anybody has said. So you're not your hand, you're what is aware of your hand. Sure, you could say that my hand is part of me, but are you more the knowing and the awareness of the hand, or are you more the hand? When you say I, when you're that which I points to, is that which is aware of the hand. Okay, but you
It's like your hand. It's like your hand has less information about you than you have of your hand.
let's go back to you said going into the body is a way you can do this, and that's correct, because the resistance is always going into it's about going into thoughts and beliefs. That is the direction of resistance. And so the direction out of resistance is going to first moving out of thought, out of the focus into thought, into the focus of sensation, feeling. Yeah, and then there's the knowing of that, the knowing of the heartbeat in your ears, the knowing of the heat, the knowing of your thoughts, the knowing of sensations, sight, sound. That's true. But what I'm saying is helpful when I would assume that's not always true to you. And so what I'm saying is helpful when that's not true to you. When that, by not true, I mean there becomes an illusion of that not being as you're saying. Because if what you say is your experience all the time with everything, with sensation, with thought, with sound, then there wouldn't be any turmoil. The turmoil is something's in danger. Do you relate to what I'm saying? Exactly, and in those moments, what I'm offering is a tool. to notice, are you more the thought or that which knows the thought? Are you more the sensation or that which knows the sensation? When we are not identified, what you describe is true. The knowing of the sensation and the sensation are the same thing. But when we're identified, we are something that is an imagined self. It's a mental construct. It's a narrative of somebody. All I am is this which was born and will die and is limited to this body. And so when that becomes very tight and very much your reality, look at that which is aware. Yeah. But there is a knowing right now, which is not an idea. So, for example, the question, are you aware? How is the answer? Where is it coming from? Does it require thought? Aside from the thought of understanding the question and formulating an answer, yeah, but that's now interpreting that or assuming that you're aware because you're seeing or hearing, as if seeing and hearing is evidence that you're aware. Yeah, and just stay with that being aware is not something you know because of a thinking process. You could say, well, because I'm aware of thoughts, I know that I'm aware. Let's say that's good enough. Because you could also have no thoughts and have sounds and know that you're aware. And maybe this is not something you know experientially. So that's a question. Just contemplate it. Just take from this the suggestion that it's valuable to contemplate. Even if though it doesn't seem like it. and then bring a curiosity to that and just explore it. And then everything else we talked about earlier, what Catherine said. Are you aware, and how do you know? Does it require you to think to know that you're aware? Explore those kinds of questions.